celebrating the power of possibility. Pilot Flying J and Halloran Hilton Hill present Anything is Possible. Today's guest, Cortney Piper.
Welcome to another edition of Anything is Possible. I'm Halloran Hilton Hill. These are great stories about great people who prove with their lives that anything is possible. And Cortney, I was just sitting here thinking that all greatness starts with possibility, just believing that something is possible. Posse means able to be. You grew up in Wisconsin?
Michigan.
Michigan.
Close, very close.
Very close. And what did you believe you could be?
Anything.
And who taught you to believe that?
It was my parents. My mom was the first one in her family to go to college and graduate from college. Her father got his GED. And so it was really the combination of my mom and my dad. They told my sister and I, and they parented like we could do anything that we wanted to do as long as we put in the hard work to do it. And that's how we grew up.
Wow. By the way, this is Cortney Piper. Thank you for joining us on Anything is Possible today. And I see you as a possibility person. So your mother was the first one to go to college in your family.
That's right.
So she had this burning drive. Did your father go to college?
He went to college for a little while. He enlisted in the Air Force during Vietnam. And so he came back after Vietnam, went to a technical school, and started working for General Dynamics. They make tanks for the government.
Right. So having parents that say you can be anything you want to be as long as you work hard and put in the hard work is one thing. Deciding what that is another.
That's right.
Take us on that journey.
Well, from a very early age, my mom was a swimmer. And so when my sister and I got old enough to actually swim laps in the pool, we were going and we were not coming out. As a matter of fact, when my sister and I were really young, my mom put us in gymnastics classes. And when we started growing, I'm 5'11", my sister's 6'2", she pulled us out of the gymnastics classes and she stuck us in the pool. My sister and I always joke that we could have been Olympian gymnasts if we had stuck to it. But my mom threw us in the pool and away we went. And
she threw you in the pool.
Threw me in the pool.
They thrust you into
Yes.
that life. Was that the life you wanted, or were you living up to their expectations?
I didn't know that I wanted it when I was doing it, but looking back at it now, I really couldn't imagine doing anything else. Swimming takes a lot of sacrifice. It takes you away from your friends. When you're in middle school, elementary school, high school, and your friends are hanging out, they could go to the park after school, they can go grab a burger, they can do whatever, and you're going, all right, I got to go swim, and then I have to go to bed early because I've got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And no, I can't sleep over your house this weekend because I have to be at the pool Saturday morning. So, it takes a lot of sacrifice. And I remember being in high school and just being really resentful of that. And, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? But, looking back on it, I really wouldn't have it any other way.
So I would love to know more about your mother then, because she had to endure your resentfulness because she had a higher purpose, a greater cause. Tell me a little bit more about her.
Oh, we butted heads.
Really?
We butted heads big time. I remember there was one point in time of, going back to swimming where we were carpooling with one particular family, and that family was going through a divorce, and so the kids weren't going to be swimming that next season. So I'm sitting in my homework, sitting on my bed doing my homework, and my mom comes in. She says, Sarah's not going to swim this season. Do you want to keep swimming? And I thought, oh my God, this is my chance. It was like the angels came down from heaven. I had the celestial light on me. This is my chance. I said, no, I don't want to swim anymore. And my mom looked at me and she went, well, you're going to.
Wow.
And I thought, what just happened? What just happened? So we had a lot of those moments growing up. My mom's very headstrong, very independent. My sister and I always joke that I'm the favorite with my mom because we're both firstborns, and my dad and my sister are both the secondborn. So my sister will say, you and Mom always gang up on me because you're the firstborns. But, it's true what they say. We're very headstrong. We're very independent. So we butted heads a lot.
Wow. This is Cortney Piper. You're watching Anything is Possible because it is. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up.
I just didn't think that was my path. I was a political science major, so I was always really interested in government and in civics. I thought I'd be working for nonprofit organizations. So I never thought that business was where I wanted to be.
Welcome back to Anything is Possible. I'm Halloran Hilton Hill. This is Cortney Piper. She's headstrong, or at least she was, butting heads with your mom about
yes.
swimming when we left off in the story. So she endures your, how would you describe yourself?
Oh, I was a horrible human being as a teenager. I was a horrible human being. I don't think there's any other way to describe it.
So you were telling me your mother, though, must have known that there was a point beyond that, and she had to endure that. So did your dad. So she pushed you.
Yes.
Right, and that's an important part of the story.
Yes.
But she was a pusher. More
Yes.
about your mother. What were some of the things she did and accomplished?
Well, when she was going to school and she was swimming back then, there weren't a lot of options for women who were swimming and then wanted to swim in college. And my grandfather, her father, told her, if you want to go to school and you want me to pay for it, you're going to stay home because women don't go away to school.
There's some push.
And so I think that's where my mom sort of had this fire and this motivation for my sister and I to both have better than she had, to be able to take that talent and that athletic ability and go wherever we wanted to go. And so I think that's where the push came from my mother. She wanted us to do things, or at least have the opportunity to do things that weren't open to her.
And you did.
And I did.
And you did. So how good of a swimmer were you?
I was pretty good. You know, the reason why I came to Tennessee, I was recruited by 4 other schools, was because I really wanted to be a small fish in a big pond. I really wanted a reality check on my abilities. And the SEC is the most competitive swimming conference in the country.
Really?
And so Tennessee was my last recruiting trip, and I came here in the fall for a home football game, and I said, this is the spot for me.
What about your sister? She's swimming as well.
Yep, she decided she wanted to stay in the great frozen north, so she went to Wisconsin.
Now, which of the two of you is the better swimmer, and were you both competitive with one another?
Yeah, we were for a little while, but my sister's the star of the family. She's got a gold medal and a world record.
Wow.
2004 Olympics, yeah.
How does that make you feel?
I'm so proud of her. That was her lifelong goal. Ever since she was little, she won a high point trophy at a swim meet when I think she was like a 10 and under. And she was looking at the trophy on the way home, and she looked up at my dad and she said, I'm gonna go to the Olympics. So she realized her dream, and watching her go on that journey was it was incredible. I'm so proud of her.
Back to your journey, you compete at the University of Tennessee, you swim, and then you finish the University of Tennessee. Did you know that you were going to end up owning the company that you own and doing what you do?
Oh, no. If you would have asked me back in 2003 when I graduated, you're going to have your own business someday, I would have said there is no way on earth.
And why was there no way on earth?
I just didn't think that was my path. I was a political science major, so I was always really interested in government and in civics. I thought I'd be working for nonprofit organizations, or I thought I'd be working for a city or a state government, or in Congress or the Senate or something like that. So I never thought that business was where I wanted to be.
So when did you decide what was your first job, and then when did you decide to branch out on your own and start your own company?
Yeah, my first job was in New England. I was doing some grassroots organizing, and I realized that New England wasn't the place for me. I had spent way too much time in Tennessee. I thought everybody was kind of cranky, and it snowed in October, and I thought, no. I can go back to Detroit and live with my family and probably live in my parents' basement until I'm 40, or I can come back to Tennessee and see what I can do. And so I got another job with a nonprofit there, Keep Knoxville Beautiful. And then I got another job with another nonprofit, a statewide organization called the Tennessee Clean Water Network. Ran for county commission, worked on a U.S. Senate campaign, and then after that I was exhausted. And I thought, I'm just gonna sit on the couch and eat ice cream and watch soap operas. that didn't last for too long, and so I started freelancing, and that was the whole start of me starting my business, was to take a chance and see if I could freelance.
And you did. Your business has taken off. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, well, I started at the end of 2008, and when I started my business, I'd always had an interest in energy and technology. And I thought, with all these great resources that we have in Tennessee, Oak Ridge National Lab, TVA, the University of Tennessee, there's no reason why I shouldn't do this, and I can learn so much more. And I remember through campaigning, I had met some people that worked at Oak Ridge National Lab. And so I called them up and I said, listen, I want to go to anything where I don't have to give you a DNA sample. I want to learn about the energy industry. I want to learn about technology. I want to learn about business, about policy, challenges, everything. I just want to go to things and absorb the information. And they were kind enough to let me do that. And that really validated my interest and really validated that, hey, I think I can make a business out of that. So, flash forward to 2016, and I'm still here, and my public relations company still focuses on energy and technology.
Just off camera, there's another human being over there.
There is.
Right. Do you see the smile on her face? She just lit up. When did that happen? Who's that? When did that happen?
That happened in 2008. We met at a holiday party, of all places.
Please tell everyone your husband's name.
Barry Armstrong. And Barry is actually the one that gave me that little push to start my business.
Really?
Because I didn't know really what I wanted to do in 2008. I was exhausted. It was the end of the summer, and I was just exhausted. And of course, I didn't want to sit at my own house to watch TV and eat ice cream and watch soap operas. I went over to his house, and he worked from home. And so he was like, no.
You're not going to cry on my sofa.
Yeah, this is not going to happen.
Let's get you a job.
It's not going to happen. He goes, why don't you just start freelancing? So I had watched him freelance. I was like, okay, I think I can get into this. I can do this for a little while until I find a full-time job. And it was about 3 months into it, I went, I'm not getting a full-time job. I mean, that was during the recession, and I thought, I'm going to do this on my own. I can do this. I can totally do this.
Wow. What I've learned in all these years of doing this show is that possibility always has partners. Mm-hmm. Right? So whenever somebody comes up with a dream, there's normally somebody that shows up with lighter fluid or matches.
Yes.
Right? Isn't it great when you find somebody that believes in what you believe in?
It is.
And believes for you?
It is. And to this day, sometimes I'll come home and I'll have the worst day ever, the worst week ever, and I'll just look at Barry, and he gives me the motivation I need. He's my rock. He's my rock. He keeps me going.
You hear that, Barry? Rocking it. You see, Barry rhymes with Mary. Right? And I always like to ask people when I'm taking the possibility journey with people, I always love to hear the story of the dream, of the hard work that turns the dream into reality. But it's also a people story. So you had your mother and your father push you. You had a sister that pushed you. But then now you have a husband that pushes you.
That's right.
Who do you push?
Oh gosh, that's a good question.
Because I've found that all possibility people, they get to what I call a gratitude crossroad, and they're so grateful for being pushed that they start pushing somebody else.
Oh, I think Barry will tell you that I push him. I don't know. I've got 3 employees that work for me, and I always want the best for them, so I'm pushing them. I've never thought about it that way in terms of giving back, and I wonder if any of my friends or my family or coworkers would call what I do pushing, but I just kind of see it as doing the right thing.
Yeah, I think it's something that you do and you don't even know you're doing it until somebody says thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe I know that my mother, God rest her soul, I don't know if she really finally got how much her pushing me mattered, because I also was somewhat resistant, although that lady you didn't grow up in the era where you got spankings. I grew up
Oh, no, I got a wooden paddle.
Okay, so I grew up in a different era. But you know what I did was I counted the number of meals that my mother had made versus the number of spankings that I got. And the meals to spanking ratio proves she loved me. We'll take a break. We'll come back. This is Cortney Piper. You're watching Anything is Possible.
Coming up.
If you want something, there are no shortcuts. There's no magic pill. There's nothing magical that you can do. The only way to get there is hard work and to never give up.
Welcome back to Anything is Possible. This is Cortney Piper. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
If I could get the crew to chant along with me, Barry, Barry, Barry.
You know, it's funny that you do that because when my sister first met him, that's how she greeted him at the door.
Is that, see, I feel the energy, right? I can feel the energy. So outside of work, you still are an athlete. I'm going to say one word to you and then you respond. CrossFit.
Yes, yes. That has filled that competitive void in my life. I was looking for something, you know, once an athlete, always an athlete. You always need that physical challenge. And I was looking for that physical challenge again. I was looking for that camaraderie. And I found it at a CrossFit gym. Oddly enough, I saw an article about CrossFit in the News Sentinel. And a friend of mine was also looking just to get into fitness and be active. And I was like, you know, they've got free classes on Saturday. Why don't we go? And she reluctantly came with me, and it's been 5 years ever since. And we're both going to that same gym, and
so you compete.
It's been great. I would use that term loosely. We have a couple of competitions in the area, around the city of Knoxville, and then in East Tennessee. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be on the CrossFit Games anytime soon.
What have you learned about success?
Success is never giving up. And I really, I learned that, again, more people pushing me from my coach, my high school and club coach. He is the one that taught me, or I guess would reinforce what those values that my parents put in me is, if you want something, there are no shortcuts. There's no magic pill. There's nothing magical that you can do. The only way to get there is hard work and to never give up.
And your whole posture changed when you went to that gear, whatever that gear is. Did you notice that, Barry? She was like, right, she's like, never give
I'm gonna tell you something.
Right. That's pretty strong. So with the definition of success, what have you discovered are the rules of success? So it's never give up, but now what are you learning as a businesswoman in our community and a leader in our community? If you were sitting down with a stubborn 13-year-old that's going to swimming, that doesn't want to go to swimming, and you're trying to lay out the rules of success for her, what would you say?
Well, you know, first of all, I think to that 13-year-old, to a certain extent, you just got to let them be stubborn. You got to let them make their own mistakes, because you don't learn a whole lot if you never fail. You know, I won a lot of races and I lost a lot of races. I've had a lot of success in business. I've had a lot of failures in business, but you don't learn a lot from your success. And I find that you're defined more through your failures, how you deal with it, how you cope, how you can get back up. It's easy to win. It's easy to win. It's hard to get back up and try again.
What's the toughest thing you've had to overcome?
Wow. You know, a couple of things. So one silly thing, I had a swim meet, junior national swim meet, one of my first ones. And, you know, I swim the mile. I'm a miler. It's an endurance race. Your start does not matter. This is going to take you 16, 17 minutes. And I'm up on the block. I've had a great year. Up on the block. I false start. Probably the only person in the history of swimming that's ever false started in the mile. And I thought, well, great.
You get disqualified immediately?
Got disqualified. I was so ashamed. So incredibly ashamed, because there was no reason for that to happen. I don't know why it happened. I was having a great year, and I was so I was heartbroken, ashamed, I was angry. I mean, it was horrible. There's no other way to describe it. I thought my coach was disappointed in me, my parents would be disappointed in me, but you know, again, I picked myself back up, and the next junior nationals I came back and I won that event.
So you needed the false start so that you could find your pick-me-up.
Yeah.
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 That was number one.
That was number one.
But you took this breath right here. You said, wow. What's the other wow?
The other one was at my high school coach, my club swim coach, who was a big part of my life, passed away suddenly last year. And that was really difficult for me to get through. And I didn't think it would be as difficult as it was, but I remember coming back from the funeral, and I've just never felt that way after a loss, where I just felt like I couldn't really work and I couldn't really do anything. It was very difficult to kind of get my head back in the game, grieve, and be able to get my head back in the game, and realize that when I went back home to visit my family, and I went back home to just go to the pool and see Mike wasn't going to be there anymore.
And that's one of those instances where there's nothing you can say or do. You can't bring that back. That's lost. What did you learn from the loss, though? It seems like the same lesson, just different intensity.
First of all, I learned a lot about gratitude. I felt like I had taken the relationship I had with Mike for granted. He was always going to be at the pool. He's always going to be at the pool when I needed him. He was always going to be able to give me that push when I needed it. And he wasn't always there. So I learned gratitude. I learned to really tell people how I feel about them when they're right in front of me, and not wait. Show them how much I love them, appreciate them, respect them, because you never know. Somebody could get cancer unexpectedly and die the next day.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, we wish you much success in the future, and thank you for taking the time to be on Anything Is Possible.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for teaching us to never give up, right?
That's right.
Never give up.
That's right.
We'll see you next time on Anything Is Possible. This is Cortney Piper, and that's very, 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 very.
Oh, my sister's going to love that.